Appointed to the board back in 1959 when one of the board members died, and I filled the office ever since until this past January I ended my last term. Back in 1935, the two districts, now I'm going to talk mostly of what we call the Franklin Irrigation District, which is the Greenlee County part of it, and the Gila District in Safford. Since 1935, we entered into the Go Equity Decree, which is a federal decree, and the land was measured earlier in 1920, and that's what the battle's over today. The 1920 maps are quite inaccurate, and then we have, along with that, we have the Gila Indian community and the Apache Indian community at San Carlos. With the Go Equity Decree, the ink wasn't dry until they started suing us back in the 1930s. And this has been going on and on and on, and it's gotten quite more serious in the last 25 years. And that's where we've really been battling. They're going after us for various things. We entered in about 15 years ago, we entered in what we call a forbearance agreement, which was supposed to settle what we're arguing about. And that would give us the right to divert. Part of the issue is the fact that we have pumps along with the river use. The river use is issued to us on priority, with the Indians having immemorial rights. So if the flow is low, they're the ones that get any. If it's high, each of us get our share based on our priority rights, which can be anywhere from from 1870s to 1920. They can be offered, and you're issued water on that right. Like I said, when we went into the Go Equity Decree in 1935, that wasn't enough water for us to survive, so we drilled wells, and we've been getting along fine with that. About 15 years ago, they filed a big lawsuit which encompassed a whole bunch of things. One of them was that the subflow was the same as the surface flow, and the Go Equity Decree does not say that. But anyway, to settle it, we entered into a forbearance agreement which allows us to pump. Incidentally, we can only divert up to 6 acre-feet in 1 year if it's there. But the forbearance agreement gives us the right to divert, to pump up to 6 acre-feet, no more, no less, which that was fine because nobody uses more than 6 acre-feet. You can farm very well on 6 acre-feet.
Pump our river. Pump our river.
Pump our river. But bear in mind, the river doesn't always flow to give us our share. Well, like I said, one of the latest issues was that solved that with it. That was a good win for us, because we can still pump up to 6 acre-feet. But over the last 50 years, 75 years, or whatever since the decree, there is lands that does not have a right to have water. And it's what they call hot lands. So back over the history of time, you had a farm and you had a house here and a field over here. Well, in due time, you decided to put the house over here and farm over here. That's hot land. You're not supposed to do that. So they're battling us over hot land. Well, here about 5 years ago, they told us that we would have a right to transfer, which the decree permits this, that you may sever and transfer land that has a water right to land that does not. You have a right to do that, according to the Go Equity. In about 1960s, they sued us again and said, we have a right to object to any transfer. We have to see it first. The water commissioner is appointed by the federal courts, and that's who oversees it. And that used to take place quite often in the early days of the decree. People wanted to move from here to here, or the river took out a piece of land that you was farming and the river took it away. You transferred it over some land that you did have that was hot. Well, in the forbearance agreement, they said that we could transfer during this window and they would not object. There was something like 439 transfers applied for. They objected to every one of them. So now they're really after us on the hot land issue. And along that, when they have the water resources, DWR, the state of Arizona, along back in history, they formed what they call the impact zone. saying, where is the water for the Gila River? And they drew a line down each side of the valley. Dean will show you that in a minute. They drew a line down the inside of the valley. It just nilly-willy, you know, here, here, here. And if you're outside of that, you can pump all you want to. If you're inside of that, you're under this limitation. If you got hot land within this, you got trouble. Now, may I say this too, that the Gilas is the one we entered into the forbearance agreement. The Apaches did not sign. So they've been after us too, over every little thing that can get after us.